Let's start with last weekend. You had a great game.
Thank you.
Against Glasgow. Your try looked to be the one that was going to turn things around. It just wasn't to be in the end.
Yeah, it was a tough one for us. I mean, just the sort of atmosphere in the change room after really sort of told a story. Like boys were gutted. We felt like we did a lot of things right, and I think their try just before half time sort of summed up how they sort of got us. Like, it came from nothing, sort of almost length of the field break, and like those sorts of tries are heartbreaking. Like, they can really kill your momentum, and we felt like we'd built some good momentum, and that sort of those sorts of tries really sting. So it's a tough one for us to take.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously the Ospreys have been knocked with some difficult injuries and obviously Wales call-ups, so the squad isn't looking like it did, but the drive and determination, the tenacity, the hunger that came from the squad last Friday was evident from the first whistle, really. Yeah,
I think that's the sort of flip side of when you have a few injuries, is it means that people get an opportunity, and guys like, look at Rhys Henry, sort of swapping side to the scrum, first appearance for the Ospreys. Like, guys like that, they're always going to bring energy and intensity and that passion, because it's their sort of opportunity to show what they're about. So yeah, obviously the sort of players missing and that sort of thing that always happens like these times of year when it's Six Nations or whatever it is tricky for the squad. But that's why you've got sort of the squad sizes you do, so that we've got people that can come in and fill those positions and bring that enthusiasm and intensity to sort of keep the performances as close to sort of that top level as we can.
I mean, there's lots of positives for you guys to take from last weekend's match. Not so much perhaps the result, having, it's such a narrow loss, but Leinster this weekend, I mean, they are the real high flyers of the competition, sort of set a benchmark for all of the teams really in the Pro 14 to strive to. It's going to be a tough contest for your young squad this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they, like you said, they're the sort of gold standard, and especially going over to their place, it's going to be a challenge, and you're going to have to be on the money in all aspects to be able to compete with them. But we're professionals like that, so they're the sort of challenges that you look forward to. The only way to really test yourself is to go up against the best. So we're looking at it as exactly that. Like, it's a challenge. To be honest, no one's really going to give us a chance, so it's an opportunity for us just to throw everything we've got at it and see sort of where we end up.
So as a player then, what's your sort of like mentality going into a game against a team like Leinster?
I think we've talked this week, it really puts the pressure on, like being clear on what you're doing, because if you've got any uncertainty, there's any hesitation in any sort of aspect of the game, then a team as good as Leinster are going to exploit the sort of errors that will come from that. So it really forces you to look at your game and make sure you know what you're doing in sort of every situation, so that you can then sort of deliver physically. Like we talk a lot about, you've got to have clarity in what you're doing to be able to bring intensity to it, and that's been a sort of big focus point this week.
Well, very good luck on Friday night. I'm sure it will go your way in some shape or form, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Gareth, it's Mark. It is Mark Orders from Wales Online.
Hiya.
How are you keeping? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. You mentioned Rhys Henry there, and I noticed watching on TV from afar that there was a round of applause in your huddle at the end, and I thought Toby pointed at Rhys Henry. That was for Rhys, was it?
Yeah. As I said, like, it was his first appearance for the region. He's a tight head, and as we've mentioned, with injuries and Wales call-ups and stuff, we were short a loose head. So he had a sort of whirlwind class. in the week before. I mean, he's got a pretty good teacher in Duncan Jones for that position. But it was new to him being on that side of the scrum, and you could see on Friday night he did a really good job, and he obviously came on quite early as well, so he put in a big shift for a prop as well. So yeah, it was just a bit of recognition for not only for his hard work in the week leading up to it and getting his first appearance, but for a big shift from him on the night as well.
What? So Toby said, yeah, let's a round of applause for Rhys.
Yeah, like. We talk a lot about, like I said before, about having that clarity, knowing your role, and all of that sort of thing. And it was just sort of a moment of recognition of sort of summed up our performance in terms of the hard work that we showed on Friday night. And Toby felt like, well, we all agreed that Rhys sort of typified that. So it was just a sort of nod to him for a great effort.
Not overstating it, that is the remarkable effort if he's a tight head switching to loose head and making his debut. It could have, there's so much that could have gone wrong but didn't go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said, that's why Toby, I think, felt the need to point it out and highlight it, because like you said, I mean, I play in the back row, so up there right up the front, I don't really know what goes on, but it's a very different proposition scrummaging on the tight head and scrummaging on the loose head. It's why we have specialists, and obviously these days you've got to have the specialists on the bench as well. So like I said, for him to be able to move across in the space of a week's training and to then do such a good job it's awesome effort from him.
Yeah, digress. And then how are you enjoying life at the Ospreys?
Yeah, it's good. Loving it. Lovely part of the world, and like we've got a great group of boys down here. So yeah, it's a nice atmosphere. Like we have a lot of fun, but we work hard as well.
Yeah, what have you made of your own form? Have you been pleased with it? You played very well last week.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was quite pleased with my performance last weekend. I think, I'm always looking for ways that I can improve. I'm always hoping to show more. So, I think as a professional, if you're sort of satisfied with your performance, then you're probably not pushing yourself as hard as you need to be. So always looking to improve and to get better.
Given how many boys you were missing last week, you must have been quietly impressed with the likes of Rhys Davis, Will Griffiths and Morgan Morris alongside you. Yeah,
definitely. I think we've got some really, really talented young players in the squad. And like the guys you mentioned there, like they've had an opportunity this season and last season a bit as well for Morgs and Will to get some exposure and to play some rugby. And I think what we're seeing now is just the benefits of that. They've got some rugby under their belts and they're starting to be a bit more comfortable in that environment and starting to show what they can do and hopefully push on from there.
How does the Pro 14 compare with the English League?
It's a bit different. The travel's obviously a big thing for a start. Not used to going to the airport quite so much. In terms of the rugby itself, I'd say it's a bit quicker. I'd say in the Premiership, it's not necessarily better, but there's a bit more of a set piece and defence focus. I think sides are maybe a little bit bigger in the Premiership, and I think the rugby in the Pro 14 is maybe a bit quicker. Certainly when you play against teams like Leinster, you know that the pace and the tempo of the game is going to be high. So you've got to be really fit to keep up with that. I would say I prefer the rugby in the Pro 14. It's a bit more open. I think it suits me a bit better. So yeah, it's very subtle differences. But if if I had to sort of say, it would probably be that it's a little bit faster in the Pro 14 and a bit more sort of physical up front in the Premiership.
Yeah, and last question really, with Leinster, will it help you as a group going out there as underdogs?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does. It takes off a little bit of the pressure, and it also gives you a bit of sort of fuel for the fire. You never like to think that people are expecting you to lose, because they obviously then don't think you're as good as your opposition. So it gives us a point to prove, and like I said, it also gives us a bit of freedom to go out there and say, right, we're going to throw everything we've got at this, and sort of we talk about being brave and trying to sort of attack and score points and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think it helps. Like I said, it takes a bit of that pressure off, which is always a good thing.